Pujya Swamiji. It's okay. That's okay. You don't need it. No problem. Thank you. So, as I mentioned in the morning, we're going to begin this session with questions. And I'm going to have Krupali can read them. So they're collecting questions in the front, and actually Janine will read them out to us. And we will then move into the topic of this satsang, which is in and of itself a very good question. Maybe actually what makes the most sense is to begin taking that as a question and then moving to the other questions. So when we ask ourselves, how do we make the right decisions? And it moves perfectly out of our morning satsang of having the dharmic, the conscious, the truthful relationship with ourselves, knowing who we are. Of who we are. Well, that's the first and most important aspect in knowing what to do. I always say that the reason that we don't know what to do is because we don't know who we are. If you look in nature, and for me nature is just the most perfect example. Whenever I have a question about what to do in life or what's the right thing in life, just look at nature. You look at God's divine creation unencumbered by ego, and there's your answer. Because for us, we're a higher level. Both our studies of evolution tell us that, as well as the spiritual world tells us that here we are, this higher level, this pinnacle of evolution, whether you talk about physical evolution, Darwinian evolution, or you talk about spiritual evolution, here we are as the highest of that. And we seem to be the only species utterly confused, utterly unable to figure out even the most basic aspects of how do I move through my life. When to eat, what to eat, when to sleep, how much to sleep, where to sleep, who to sleep with, and all of even just the most basic aspects of life. We seem unable to figure them out. And the reason for that is that our divine perfect creation, which we are certainly no less than aspects of nature, and as I said, teachings tell us we're even more. So certainly the intelligence that a caterpillar has of how to become a butterfly, that a seed has of how to sprout, that a bird has of how to weave a nest, that a baby bird has of how to flap its wings and fly. I mean, certainly that level of intelligence must be granted to us as well. The dilemma is that along with that, we also have ego. And so that ego and that ignorance is what keeps us from being able to connect with what to do. And so how to make right decisions actually is quite simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. And the simplicity of it is know who you are. And when you know who you are, you will know how to move through the world. That doesn't mean that every night you're going to not have a conversation at home of, should we have Italian or Chinese? But in any case, these are not the decisions that weigh us down. They're not the decisions that keep us awake at night. That sort of stuff, the waking up in the middle of the night, oh my God, what to do, the stress-inducing decisions, are there because we don't know who we are. If in nature, when a dog was chasing a bird, let's say, and the bird flies off the rooftop, if the dog didn't know it was a dog and jumped off the roof after the bird, it would plummet to the ground and die. But it's never happened. You never see, even in hot pursuit, the dog understands right at the edge of that roof, it may be running, it gets to the edge, it skids, it stops. The dog knows I'm not a bird. You never see one animal eat another type of animal's food. You never see vegetarians suddenly kill something and eat it. You never see lions or tigers suddenly decide they're going to survive on blueberries. I mean, they just know. This is who I am, this is what I do. The nocturnal animals are awake in the night, they sleep in the day. There's just this beautiful order and system. And so when you see divine creation unencumbered by ego, that's where you get these keys of how we're supposed to live. It's how I get keys. And so to know what to do, we need to know who we are. And the most important aspect of who we are, as I was sharing this morning, is divine. Maybe it was last night, one or the other. We're divine. We're whole, we're complete, we're perfect. And to know who we are in terms of also our individual dharma. What am I here for? What's my dharma? Because if you take, for example, Pujya Swamiji's been giving us these beautiful mantras from the Bhagawati. And if you look at the Gita, if you look at Lord Krishna's teaching to Arjuna, when Arjuna in the beginning says, forget it, I'm not going to fight. Forget it, let them keep all the land, it's not worth it, I'm just going to go off and meditate and not accrue any of this karma stuff, I don't want it. Lord Krishna says, not so fast. Not your dharma. Now, it's important because he was not saying meditation is bad. He was not saying living in caves is bad. He's not saying violence is good. It had nothing to do with that. It had only to do with Arjuna's very specific dharma at that specific intersection of time and space of what Arjuna individually was supposed to do. As we move through our lives, most of us identify who we are based on what we do. So we go backwards. We decide to become an engineer because our dad was an engineer and really wanted us to be an engineer, or our brother was an engineer, or the guy across the street we always thought was cool growing up was an engineer, and so we became one. We make decisions for all kinds of reasons. When I was 8, I came home one day and I said to my parents, I need to take karate classes. And my parents said, what, karate? I said, yeah, I need to take karate classes. So they said, okay. Took me for karate classes, and I ended up, that became what I did. I ended up getting a black belt at 15. But the point is, what was it that sent me home at 8 telling my parents I wanted to do karate? Not some great inner sense of this is what I was supposed to do, but there was a girl in the grade older than I was in 2nd grade, she was in 3rd grade, and at school we had a come in costume day, And she came in a karate costume, and I always thought she was really cool. And so I decided that I wanted a karate costume. But I knew that I couldn't just go home and say I want a karate costume. And so I went home and said I want to do karate. So the point being that we make decisions for all kinds of crazy reasons. Now in my case, fortunately, it ended up working out and being a fun thing to do as a kid. But when you're talking about life decisions, you're talking about career decisions, family decisions, life paths. You don't want to be making these decisions simply because the guy across the street or next door is doing that. Not because it's what some voice in your head says, oh, well, that will be a cooler thing to do, a more respectable thing to do. You want to do what is right for your dharma. Arjun's dharma was to be a warrior, to restore dharma to adharma, to restore the dharma to the kingdom. We can take it further. Arjun's dharma was to be the vehicle through whom this Bhagavad Gita came for all of us. If Arjun hadn't frozen on the battlefield, we wouldn't have the Gita. So his dharma was to fight that battle. His dharma was even to have all of those questions through which we end up with this incredible scripture. But each of our individual dharmas is going to be different. The only thing that's going to weave them all together is that aspect of universal dharma. And the aspect of being a tool in God's hands. So regardless of whether you're called upon to be a warrior, or a teacher, or an engineer, or a doctor, whatever it may be, or an artist, or a musician, or a monk, because the artist or the musician or the monk who's forced to become the doctor or the engineer is going to be just as miserable. Because it's not what they are here to do. And this is where, as parents, for example, it's so important to see in our children, what are they here for? Not everyone's going to be a doctor or an engineer. And that's great. Because God loves diversity. Pujya Swamiji always reminds us. We need teachers. We need musicians. We need artists. We need sannyasis. We need everything. So the only way that we know for sure, the thing that weaves it all together, that's true for all of us and all of our own individual dharmas, is that I'm being a tool in God's hands. And this again comes straight out of the Gita, straight out of what Lord Krishna is telling Arjun standing on the battlefield. Arjun says, I can't kill them. Lord Krishna says basically, oh really? And since when did you become the decider of who lives and who dies? You can't kill them? Somehow you suddenly have the power to be the one to take life? Just be a tool in my hands. I'm the doer, you're not the doer. The problems come when we think we're the doer. So he says, just be this tool in my hands. So whatever our individual dharma is, it is important that we remember, I'm a tool in God's hands, and God is going to use us differently. But everything is of equal importance. The doctor, the engineer, the website designer, the teacher, the sweeper, the garbage collector, the monk, the poet, the musician. Each is of equal importance. And so So making the right decision only can happen when I know who I am on both levels. That core, deepest, highest truth of who I am is divine. And the more like in this body, in this life level of my dharma in this birth. When you know that, then just like everything in nature, you'll know what to do. So rather than randomly deciding to become something, like I randomly decided to become a karate person, and then identifying as, oh, I guess that's who I am, first figure out who you are, and then you'll automatically know what to do, rather than doing it in the reverse. So with that, I want to turn over to Janine for the pile of questions she has in her hands, and we'll try to address them as quickly and thoroughly as we can.
Okay. So I'm actually going to start with two that are sort of on the same theme and follow what you just talked about. So the first one is, you went to Stanford University and got a PhD at one of the best colleges in the United States, but then went to India to learn to be a guru and following a spiritual path. So I was wondering how you feel about leaving all of that hard work behind to follow the spiritual path. And the other one that I think you can speak to at the same time is, what do you believe is the purpose of your life, and do you miss your old lifestyle?
Okay, well, first of all, I definitely did not go to India to learn how to be a guru. And it's important, I mean, it's cute and it's sweet. And it was asked by one of my beautiful younger brothers here, and it's important on a very deep level because God knows what we're supposed to blossom as. In that seed is all of the intelligence of the entire tree. In that seed is the juiciness of the apple, the juiciness of the orange, or the fragrance of the rose. When we plant seeds, we don't have to stand over them and tell them what to become. That's in God's hands. All we have to do is water them. And so I mention this because I went to India with a backpack. I went to India traveling on a few-month trip in the middle of a PhD program. I was not consciously searching for anything, which is really embarrassing actually to admit so many years later, because there was so much I should have been searching for. I just didn't know it existed. It's like, you know, that wonderful story of the beggar who lives out his life under a tree begging for breadcrumbs. And when he dies after decades of living under this tree, the people of the village decide, well, he lived under the tree, he loved the tree, cello, let's bury him here. And they start digging under the tree to bury this beggar. And under the tree, about 6 inches below the ground, they find this massive treasure chest full of diamonds and rubies and gems and gold and all kinds of things. And this man sat 6 inches above a treasure chest for his entire life, begging for breadcrumbs. So if he had had some sort of clairvoyance, if someone had come through and said, I mean, it's not his fault, obviously, we don't go around digging up the ground where we sit, but if someone had come by and said, hey, by the way, here's a treasure map, and X marks the spot, and you're sitting on it. He would have started digging. And so for me, in the same way, now in retrospect, I think, my God, I really should have been digging. I really should have been looking. There's this incredible treasure in the world of spirituality, but I didn't know it existed. And so I wasn't searching for it. But grace, the power of grace is so much, and this is an important point to emphasize. Grace is there for all of us. Every one of us, regardless of what your life situation is. Grace does not discriminate. Pujya Swamiji always says, God does not open your old files. And grace is there to shower upon us. And so thankfully, even though I didn't know to search for something, grace found me. And I, in the midst of this trip to India, had a very, very, very powerful, spiritually transformative experience standing on the banks of Ganga. And I knew that that was where I was meant to be. And about a week later, and it's a long story, I'm not going to go into all of the details of it, but about a week later, I was blessed by Pujya Swamiji's darshan, met him, and realized, oh, okay, so it's here. It's at his feet. It's with his grace, with his blessings, that I'm supposed to be here. I knew I was supposed to be on the banks of Ganga, but before I had met him, I thought, well, okay, I guess I'm just supposed to sit here on the banks of Ganga and cry ecstatic tears for the rest of my life. And when I had Pujya Swamiji's darshan, suddenly it all made sense. And it's been just one incredible blessing after another. Just every minute and every moment and every hour and every day is just another blessing. And for me, people always say, and this comes back to the second part of the questions, oh, you've left everything behind. And as though I had somehow made a very conscious decision to leave that which was good and go for that which is austere or hard. And I didn't. What I found on the banks of Ganga, what I found at Pujya Swamiji's feet, what I found in a spiritual life, what I found in a life of seva, because I was born and raised in this country where it's all about me, right? I mean, this is sort of the motto of America. Individuality, what's in it for you? Grab them while they're hot, better get there before someone else does. Whatever that it may be. But it's all about us. And what I discovered in a life of seva, and it didn't matter what the seva was. I mean, the seva has evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved. So sitting up here talking to you is today. But it's been an incredible evolution by his grace. I feel very much like a lump of clay that got stuck on a potter's wheel that's been spun around and around and around. And yeah, there are times that you feel dizzy, and there are times that you feel like you're being hit by the universe, by your ego. It's always the ego. We feel like, oh my God, the universe is doing this to me. But those are always the places where the ego doesn't want to let go. But I feel like I've been spun around and hit and molded into someone who is sitting here now. And that's grace. It's grace, and it's an openness and a courage to dropping into the unknown. I had no idea where this was going. I was 25, I had been raised in a Jewish family, I was getting a PhD in psychology. I knew nothing about India. I knew nothing about Hinduism. I knew nothing about gurus. I knew nothing about Ganga or Pujya Swamiji. It was just, it happened there. And by the power of grace, and by the power of the fact that my first 25 years of life had created me into a being who knew I needed to have courage. I needed to be open. I needed to live the truth. That I was able to allow myself to drop into it. And lastly, in terms of missing things or, leaving the good stuff behind, I made the same decision that everybody makes. Let me ask you something for a moment. If I went around and I said to you, okay, why do you do the things that you do? Most of us, because we're all good people, we're dharmic people, we're pious people, would say, oh, well, I do that because it's good for others, or I do that to help people, or I do that to be a good person. What I want to tell you is that isn't true. Every single thing we do to be happy. Now, some of us are living on a very superficial level where our happiness is just, I'm going to have a chocolate ice cream, I'm going to go to the movies, I'm going to go to a party. Some of us are living on a much, much deeper level where we realize, oh wait, that isn't happiness that lasts very long. Actually, when I serve others, when I use my time in service, the joy that I get from that, either directly from the service or simply from the awareness that I have done something that is having a ripple impact, whether I actually see the people impacted or not, makes my life feel meaningful. When my life feels meaningful, I feel happier. Same thing. It's not that I've somehow chosen to live a life of such great sacrifice because somehow I'm this great being who gave up being happy in order to be miserably austere. I make the same choice that everybody makes, which is to live a life that gives me the greatest happiness. Now that doesn't mean every minute and every moment. It doesn't mean that it's all like eating chocolate ice cream cones and going to the movies and going to the parties. It is austere. It is difficult on a lot of external levels. It's difficult also on the ego level. I remember saying to Pujya Swamiji one day, nobody ever told me that when you annihilate my ego, my heart's going to go with it. Because it does. It pulls at your heart. But ultimately what it brings is a deeper level of happiness. I had done all the other stuff. I had done the chocolate ice creams and the movies and the parties and whatnot. And what I found in India was a much deeper level of happiness. And so no, I didn't leave behind happiness to do something that theoretically was just a good thing to do. And if you're honest with yourself, what you'll realize as you do things, even if you're doing them for other people to make them happy, ultimately at the end of the day, well, why do you make them happy? Because when I see people I love who are happy, it makes me happy. And let me tell you something else really important. Being happy is not a crime. There's no scripture I know of in any language or any religion in which God says, thou shalt not be happy. Thou shalt be miserable. Being happy is our birthright. But we have to find it. If we want it to last, we have to find it on much deeper levels. And we have to allow the process, whether you say the universe or God or the Guru or our meditation or our sadhana, to remove that from us, which prevents us from experiencing the deep level of joy within. Because as long as I need, whether it's the ice cream and the parties and the movies, or whether it's the social circle, whether it's the friendship of a social circle, as long as I need that in order to be happy, regardless of what life I live, I'm never going to be happy. Because I'm going to constantly, it's like as we were speaking about earlier, I'm going to constantly be needing other people to fill my holes. And what I have found in this life is a fullness in the sadhana, in the seva, in the surrender to the divine, in that connection. Let me give you one last example. Imagine that you're on a train and you've got a destination you've got to get to. And that train breaks down along the way. And you find yourself on the train without any food or water. How are you going to feel? Scared, yeah, kind of frustrated, annoyed. Okay. Now imagine that you're in the exact same situation. But sitting next to you is the person with whom you have just fallen in love. Okay? Now the train is stuck. And now you've got all this extra time to stare into the eyes of the beloved. You have all this extra time to just be together. So now, the fact that you've got no water, the fact that you've got no food, the fact that you're not going to reach that meeting that you had to reach to, suddenly, instead of being frustrating and annoying and horrible, it's like, oh great, God, if this train never gets fixed, wonderful, we could just sort of sit here all forever. The only difference between the misery and the frustration and the annoyance, or the joy, is the presence of that person next to you. And when all of our gurus and our sages and our saints and our scriptures of forever have always said to us, stay connected to God, stay connected to God, make your primary relationship with God. Then wherever you are, wherever you may feel stuck, wherever you may feel like, oh my God, I don't have food, I don't have water, this is going wrong, that's going wrong. You're in that situation with the one whom you love most deeply. And so any and every situation becomes not just bearable, but there's this undercurrent of joy in it when we can stay connected. And so for me, that's been the teaching, and it's been an extraordinary, extraordinary, extraordinary blessing.
So I'm going to pick up on the theme we were talking a little bit about, seva and seeing others. So on a basic humanity level, if I see a homeless individual or beggar on the street, what is my conscious dharmic relation toward that person, and how should I help them?
Great. So we see a homeless person on the street. What's the conscious dharmic relationship with them? Well, tragically, in an ideal world, our dharmic relationship would be to feed them all and house them all. That really is the bottom line of Dharma. What we have, we share, we understand that we're all a family, and all of these beautiful spiritual tenets that we live by. Unfortunately, purely on a logistic and practical level, it just isn't possible. We can't do it. Then we're stuck. Then the question becomes, well, so what to even do? And then you add in another level in a place like India, where those who are begging are not even those to whom the money will go. And there's a whole, trade of this. Of these kids literally being, slaves to get the money back to other people. So what do? It's very, very difficult. The first piece is, Pujya Swamiji always says, sometimes people fall back on this very misunderstood aspect of karma and say, well, it must just be their karma to be poor. Forget it, it's okay, because, God is perfect, and if I'm rich and they're poor, it must be my karma to be rich and their karma to be poor. And he always says, it may be their karma to be poor, but if you're rich, or you've got anything in your pockets, it's your dharma to help them. So we must help. That doesn't mean that we necessarily have to stick all of the money in our pockets in the hands of every single person we see walking down the street. People who work in social service and development know it's just not a very effective way of lifting up the poor. More effective ways are working with organizations that are actually doing something about this in an effective way, because what I give them is going to be gone very soon. So we try to work with organizations who are actually doing good things. This is that importance of charity, the importance of seva, importance of giving. And yet, in addition to all of that, in addition to the essentialness of that, there we are in that moment, face to face with a human being who is suffering. And even though we understand logistically that it is much more effective to make a large donation to an organization that is doing good work than it is to put money in the hands of somebody who might just end up using it for alcohol and getting drunk that night anyway. But that does not absolve us of our responsibility of seeing that person as a human being and connecting with them as a human being. And we are required to do that by our Dharma. That is a living, breathing being before us who is an embodiment of the divine and who inside on the soul level is the same as we are. It's our self in there. And our sadhana, our teaching is, can you see yourself in that being? And if you can't see yourself, can you see the divine? If you can't see the divine, can you at least see the soul, the spirit, the consciousness, the heart of that being? And so the question is not so much, do I stick $1 in their hands or not? The question is, can I give them the gift of being seen? And yeah, if you've got an extra $1, give it to them by all means. Even though you're already making nice donations to organizations that are doing good work. Stick it in the hands of that person. And if they're going to use it for alcohol, let us not sit in judgment, because we have no idea whether if we were stranded on the streets with no place to go, would we choose to use the money for alcohol to forget that we were stranded on the street. We don't know. We've never been there. So we try not to sit in judgment and to see them as a human. You know, as we drive through Delhi, when I first moved to India, I used to give money to all the kids who would come to the windows, and then everybody started telling me, you know, this isn't actually them who need it, it's actually this whole mafia. And what I noticed was as I gave 10 rupees to one, 30 would come out, and then I'd feel like, oh my God, they're gonna get hit by traffic and killed one of these days. And so I stopped giving them money. But I made a commitment to see them. And so when they come to the window, I force myself not to turn away and to make eye contact and to see them. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. But to at least give them that gift of, I see you. And then, of course, logistically, as much as we have to share. And whether it's sharing into the hands of those sitting on the street, whether it's sharing into the organizations that are doing the good work, whether it's sharing by starting an organization. By doing your own seva, by making a bunch of sandwiches or burritos and getting blankets and going out and distributing them. And there's no end to the things that we can do. And we should do as many of them as we possibly can.
I'm going to suggest one more because it's from, I think, one of the younger participants. Okay. So which is considered more? First, serving, listening, taking orders from your parents and your parents-in-law, or doing seva outside and chanting mantras during puja.
Okay, so we'll take this as the last question. There's a beautiful, beautiful teaching that I'll ask Pujya Swamiji right after this when he blesses us with his words and his teachings to give to everybody in, I think it's Urdu actually. It's a mix of Hindi and Urdu, but a teaching that he was given when he first got to the ashram about by his guru, about if you can't go to temple, don't worry. If you can't go to church or mosque or gurdwara, don't worry. You can go. If you can go, by all means, go. We should go. But if you can't go, don't worry. If you can remove the pain from anyone's heart, that is where God lives. So, what God wants from us is to connect to God, to love God, and to serve. Because when we are serving, not just serving in our puja, the prayers, the stuff we do in the temples and our puja, is to rekindle in me the love of God. God doesn't need our milk or our rice or our flowers. God has given us milk, rice, and flowers. It's not that God is sitting up there saying, God, I really wish that someone, would give me some ghee today. God has given us this. The pujas, the rituals that we do are to connect us to God, to rekindle within us the power of spirituality, to get us off of our mobiles, to get us off of our computers, to get us away from the TV, to get us off the phone, to get us to sit with God. Acha puja karna, theek hai. We know it's something to do. It becomes an item on our to-do list, otherwise we don't do it. So puja is something to do, so that we carve away time to be with God. And of course there's deep, deep power in the mantras, power in the pujas. But that power is for us. It's not that God needs it. It's a power to give us clarity, to give us strength, to give us vision, to purify us of our egos, of our ignorances, of our attachments and our jealousies and expectations and all of the nonsense that prevents us from living our lives connected. That's what the puja's for. So we do the puja to connect. And the fruit of that connection is service. Because the more connected to God I am, the more eager I am to serve humanity. Pujya Swamiji was speaking about the creation, how God doesn't put, on the back of the leaf, G-O-D. But that's how most of us serve is, my company, my name, my this, my that, my project, whatever it may be, my money, my recognition, my fame. Well, that's not real service. That's not seva. When it's seva, and this is why seva is our spiritual practice. When it's seva, it's the fruit of a deep connection to God. It's service of, I'm a tool you've created. You are flowing through me. Here is how I'm able to serve as your instrument. Here are the skills you've given me, the abilities you've given me, the way that you're using me. And so we serve. And so whether it's washing dishes, cooking food, running an NGO, making burritos for the homeless people, designing websites, being a doctor, all of the things that we were speaking about earlier, we serve. When it's service rather than work. When it's seva, as a spiritual practice, it's me as a tool in your hands. Serving your creation, serving you in creation. So they're both important, but taking that teaching that Pujya Swamiji shares, I would say that the more important is doing the seva. But you have to do it connected to God. And that's where the puja and the prayers comes in, because for most of us, if we're not doing the puja, if we're not doing the prayers, we're forgetting about God. But if you can stay connected to God, Pujya Swamiji always says, when you're really in love, nobody takes a mala and goes Jyoti, 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 Jyoti. I mean, if you love Jyoti, you love Jyoti. You think about Jyoti all the time. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You don't need to take a mala and remind yourself, Jyoti, Jyoti, Jyoti. We do that until we love Jyoti. Once you love her, you don't have to do this, because your heart is beating Jyoti, 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 Jyoti. So the point of all of the puja and the prayers is to get our heart, God, 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 God. When that's there, that's when the seva is at its purest. And the other just last piece about this is it actually can work the other way as well. Because that, by the way, of course, is a very tough role to fill. So then the other question is, well, okay, so my heart's not quite yet that pure. My heart doesn't yet beat every beat 24 hours a day. God, 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 God. I forget sometimes. So does that mean I'm not, qualified to do seva? Well, actually, beautifully, it can work the other way. Seva, when done really, at its purest, not thinking about ourselves in any way, just being a tool in God's hands, purifies us, brings us closer to God. So it actually works in both ways. So with that, I will request Pujya Swamiji to share with us this evening his wisdom and his blessings, and to also hopefully chant with us some more sacred mantras, or the same sacred mantras.
Mangalam Bhagavan Vishnu Mangalam Garudadvaja Mangalam Pundarikaksha Mangalayatanu Harihi Sarvamangalamangalye Shive Sarvat Sadhike Sharanye Triambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Brahma Muraris Tripurantakari Bhumi Suto Budhascha Brahma Muraris Tripurantakari Bhanu Suto Bhumi Suto Budhascha Guruscha Shukraha Shani Rahu Ketava Sarve Graha Shantikara Bhavantu Sarve Graha Shantikara Bhavantu Sarve Graha Shantikara Bhavantu Om सहवीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। शांति शांति शांति। मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मेरी ओर तू भी तो ध्यान दे। मेरे मन में जो अंधकार है, मेरे मन में जो अंधकार है, मेरे ईश्वर मुझे ज्ञान दे। मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। चाहे दुख की रैन न मिले तो क्या, चाहे सुख की भोर खिले तो क्या, चाहे दुख की रैन न मिले तो क्या, चाहे सुख की भोर खिले तो क्या, पतझड़ में भी जो खिला रहे, मैं वो फूल बन के रहूं सदा। पतझड़ में भी जो खिला रहे, मैं वो फूल बन के रहूं सदा। जो लुटे न फीके फीकी पड़े कभी जो लूटे ना फीकी पड़े कभी। मुझे वो मधुर मुस्कान दे, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मेरी ओर तू भी तो ध्यान दे, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। तेरी आरती का बनूं दिया, यही है मेरी मनोकामना। तेरी आरती का दिया बनूं, यही है मेरी मनोकामना। मेरे प्राण तेरा ही नाम ले, करे मन तेरी ही आराधना। मेरे प्राण तेरा ही नाम ले, करे मन तेरी ही आराधना। गुणगान तेरा ही मैं करूं, गुणगान तेरा ही मैं करूं। मुझे वो लगन भगवान दे, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मेरी ओर तू भी तो ध्यान दे, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मेरे मन में जो अंधकार है, मेरे ईश्वर मुझे ज्ञान दे, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मेरी ओर तू भी तो ध्यान दे, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ। साध्वी जी beautiful, not only what is right and what is wrong. What are the right decisions, what are the wrong decisions, and with all of that, she has dealt with so many other questions were asked. Sometimes we know also what is right and what is wrong, but still, our mind is so amazing, always goes to that direction which is not right. Even knowing that, in Mahabharata, Duryodhana and Arjuna, there are two amazing characters. One is looking for one for me, and other is one through me. Duryodhana always was looking for what for me. If I am doing all of that, it's all because of me. Where I am there. And second is Arjuna, who is always, whatever is being done, whatever is happening, always got this mantra through the Bhagavad Gita. End of the day, the entire Bhagavad Gita was sang, told to him, and he got the conclusion that whatever you say, God, I will do. I am under your command. Whatever. The moment we start living with the divine will, wrong will not happen through you. The question also will disappear, right and wrong. Because when I am inflicted with ego, then I do wrong decisions. That's why this beautiful bhajan, these beautiful mantras, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he said, Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam, Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. I am your disciple, I am your Shishya, I am in your shelter. I surrender to thee. And Duryodhana says, Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. Janami dharmam. I know what is dharma. I was also the Shishya of Dronacharya. We were all studying together. All those Kripacharyas, Dronacharyas, and all those acharyas. I am also gone to Gurukul. Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. I know what is dharma and what is adharma. What is dharma but not nachame pravritti? I don't know what happened. My heart doesn't go to that, even after knowing that. And janami adharmam, janamya dharmam nachame nivritti. I know what is adharma, what is wrong, but nachame nivritti. But my heart is never away from that. What to do? He's also had a dilemma, has a conflict. It's not today you people in the 21st century are going through this problem. This is a evergreen problem. It was there because as long as we are human on this earth, it is going to be there. But Shubha Shubhabhyam, then the answer is there. Beautiful answer. I will not put all the mantras. Shubha Shubhabhyam Parimargabhyam Vahanti Vasana Sarit. Shubha Shubhabhyam. There is a river. The water is flowing. There are two banks of the river. One is Shubh, one is Ashubh. One is right, auspicious, and one is not auspicious. One is wrong. But mind always goes to the wrong one because of our own sanskaras. Sanskaras of so many births. You take the water to the CS tower. The moment you use the water, open the tap, you are on the last floor. The moment you open the tap, water flows. It doesn't fly to the sky. The moment you use it, it goes always down. Why? The water source is in the ground. Mind also is amazing. Always, you turn the tap on of the mind, immediately will not go for the right places. Will go to the wrong places, wrong thoughts. That's why for the water to take lift up, you need the yantra, the machine. And the mind also, to take the mind to the higher places, you need a mantra. Here you need a yantra, there you need a mantra. There you need a machine, here you need a mantra. These mantras uplift you, prepare you, repair you from that past, whatever you have brought to with your consciousness. In that consciousness, all of that is stocked in your chitta. Tomorrow we'll talk about ahankar, and we're talking about abhayam sattva sangshuddhir. That's why we need this sangshuddhi, this sattva. Man, chitta, buddhi, ahankar. What is antakaran is all these four things. That I will share tomorrow, but today, what is man, what is chitta, what is buddhi, what is ahankar, and all of that is antakarana. In that antakarana, all of that is stocked for thousands of years. Number one, how to take care of that. These mantras are so powerful. That's why in meditation, you do these mantras. God does not need mantras. It's not you are chanting these mantras for God that He will be happy. Mantras are for you to take your mind on that plane, to those higher planes. Number two, मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूँ, मेरी ओर तू भी तो ध्यान दे. It's a beautiful bhajan. I love this bhajan. Complete surrender. That's what Arjuna did. Complete surrender. You think with your efforts, your mind will stop? Not possible. This is all grace you need. You can try. You can try. You can have many ways. You can sit for hours and hours and hours. But mind is so amazing. Even after having advanced courses, of 2 months or 3 months, the moment you come out of those advanced courses, when you face the real world, immediately you bust. Stop. And you go out of control. It's wonderful to do the sadhana. It is wonderful to do meditation. But in our scriptures, 3 things are very important. It said, Durlabham trayamevetat Devanugraha hetukam Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurusha Sanshaya. There are indeed 3 things are very difficult to attain. Without the grace of the divine, it's not possible. Number 1, Manushyatvam, Mumukshutvam, Mahapurusha Sanshaya. Number 1, having this beautiful human body. You can come in any body, and after 84,000 births, you come to this body. Then coming in this body also healthy body, with healthy mind, with healthy intellect. It's a blessing. Mumukshutvam, we got the birth, human birth. Then you have a desire for knowledge. A donkey or a monkey or a dog cannot desire for a higher knowledge. You are very lucky. You tell them, you can have your pets, but they love you, you love them, but they cannot go to satsang and start thinking and start chanting the mantras. You have this opportunity. An amazing thing is, after having these opportunities, Sadhviji was explaining, monkey is a monkey and donkey is a donkey. Bird will never eat lion's food, and lion will never eat bird's food, cat food. But we do. So Mahapurusha Sanshaya. Third is having the association of the holy ones. These 3 things are the grace of the divine. Now you have 3 things right here in this birth. You are here because you are a human being. You have this body. You are here because you love this path. That's why you are here. There are millions of people, but they are not right now here. They are enjoying their lives, nothing wrong, but they have their own path. The third, Deva Anugraha Hetukam, you have a grace of the divine, that you have an association of the right path, the right people, the sages, the saints. But now, how to start the journey? From here. That you always keep going on the right path. Number 1, what Arjuna did in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he was confused. These are the signs, the ways have been given in our scriptures. Number 1, surrender. मैं तो कब से तेरी शरण में हूं, मेरी ओर तू भी तो ध्यान दे. Oh Lord, I am in your shelter, in your refuge. Please pay heed to me. मेरी ओर आप ध्यान दें. ये prayer every day. मेरी प्रार्थना. My prayer is to the divine every day, every moment, that I stay connected to him. Number 2, the kind of karma we do, whatever the duties, in the duty we do those karmas as a nimitta matra, that I am a tool and God has chosen me to serve. But Sadhviji was telling two lines in Urdu. When I was very young when I went to the jungle. Under the guidance of my master, did the rigorous penance and the sadhana. I was in solitude, in isolation, and in the jungle, complete silence. When I came out of the jungle, I thought, done. These many years, so much sadhana, so much japa, so much silence. So much yama and niyamas. Now it's done. I should ask my master now, what is my advanced course? And people are looking for these courses. Nowadays, I want to do this advanced course. But that time, we didn't have this kind of culture of advanced courses. But it came to me, okay, now what next? I am back to the ashram from the jungle. What next? I asked this question. And my master said, Mandir mat jao. Mandir mat jao. Masjid mat jao. Tab nahi koi muzaika hai. Kisi jeev ka dukh har lena. Ye ghar khas khuda ka hai. As she explained, ki mandir mat jao. Sometime, it's not that you don't go to the temple. It means sometimes you don't have time to go to temple. You don't have time to go to the mosque, or the church, or the gurdwara, or the synagogue. Sometimes people complain. They come to us, I don't know what happened, so much busy I am, I don't have time even to go to temple. But he said, don't worry. Even you don't have some time to go to temple or to the church or the gurdwara, but if you can remove the pain or suffering of someone, there is God. God resides there in that seva. And that seva does your antakarana shuddhi. That antakarana shuddhi is the real cause for your atma sakshatkar, self-realization. That this is your Atma Sakshatkar, self-realization. When you do the seva, you are not doing the seva to somebody else. The moment you separate, this is you, this is somebody else, you have not reached that height. That separation where ends that self is right there. When we create the separation, I am doing seva to somebody else, then sometime ego will also come to you. You want to take the credit also for that this is all because of me. I am doing it. It is being done through me. It's the moment you see the self in that person also. Sadhana happens. One saint I remember, in my young age, I used to go to Lakshman Jhula from our ashram for a walk in the morning. Amazing saint, he must be in his 80s, even 85, and every day in monsoon season, I used to say, see, this saint in one hand has his mala, and in other hand he will have shovel, preparing the ground and planting the trees. He'll keep the mala also away. 85 years old saint. Many times I watched him, but I could not dare to ask him. One day I went closer to him. I said, Baba. He didn't look at me. he just kept doing it. He was so much in meditation when he was doing it. Planting tree, planting a sapling, but he was in meditation. Baba, third time when he said, he looked around and started doing it again. I said, Baba, can I ask you one question? He looked at me, he said, yes. And by the time he planted that sapling, and he said, yes. I said, why in this age you are planting these trees? You will not be able to even eat their fruits maybe. It will take 10 years to 15 years. Mango trees take 10 years at least to give the fruit. He said, in the morning, I do my meditation. In the evening, before I sleep, I do my meditation. And during the day, this is my meditation. I plant trees, then I go and clean the garden. Then I go for some next Baba, he is older than me. I take care of his huts also. I help him to prepare food and we eat together because he cannot cook. Left home for meditation, for puja, and now in this age, when will be the next day to go? But he's not concerned, he's not worried. He said, till the last minute, I don't know where I will go. But whenever I will go, wherever I will go, I will start this plantation there also. It gives me joy that someone else will eat the fruit. I am not concerned who will eat. I said, but there are neighbors who don't like you. I know that. They also give you a hard time. He said, even they come and eat the fruits, I don't care. Why I should be judgmental? Who will eat, who will not eat? Who should eat? Let the birds come, enjoy the fruit. Let anybody come. In this age of 85, look at this old man, the old Baba. Number one, be detached. That my fruit, my tree, my seva, my karma, whenever you do it, it's just before you sleep. And that time, he said, I have one mantra. I said, okay, what is that mantra? And today every day in our temples, same mantra I have heard, people are chanting. Maybe those mantras came from those people. Kayena vacha manasendriyaiva buddhyatmana va prakritir svabhava karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai Narayanaayeti samarpayami. Narayanaayeti samarpayami. Narayanaayeti samarpayami. He said, whatever is being happened through me, I am a tool. In my sadhana, it's not only me, I have seen my Guru also. He passed away when he was 106. Till the last day, he was doing the same thing. You see all these trees, all are planted by him. Never got tired. Never had a complaint why I should keep doing it. Nobody asked him even. His heart bleeds every day to do this seva. When you become a tool, then you become so happy that God is giving me this opportunity to serve. Then you are not thinking, why me all the time doing it in the family? in the foundation, in the society, then you become so happy like that saying that every minute and every moment is being used for the seva. Then you are not worried who would catch the credit. You are not concerned even that who will eat the fruit. That Baba was not even worried that neighbors were giving hard time to him sometime. He said, this will be good when they come here. They will have sweet mangoes. They will remember me. We give hard time. Maybe they will get the lesson from that sweet mango. That they will also become sweet like these mangoes. Their heart also will change. This is the way of teaching by those saints to others. Not by mantras, but through their, not by meditation, but through their seva. Shastra says, the Upanishad says, Kurvanneveha karmani. He gave me so many beautiful mantras at that time. I didn't have to open. Later I opened those Upanishads and found those mantras there. But he was the one. In that old age, before he left, he gave those mantras. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishe shatam samaha. He said, live for 100 years. Desire to live for 100 years. And I am going to live for 100 years. I have to plant many more mango trees. Desire to live for 100 years. And kurvanneveha karmani. How to live those 100 years? Keep doing the karma. Not for yourself, but for the others. Evam tvai nanyate tosi. Na karma lippate nare. Well, after doing all of that, the secret is, if you keep doing all of that as a tool, na karma lippate nare, you will not be attached to the fruit, to the credit. And this is the right way to keep doing seva. 100 years. Live for that, desire for that, and those 100 years should be full of seva. Every minute and every moment, keep doing it. And after doing it, kayena vacha manasendriyaiva buddhyatmana va prakritir svabhavat karomi yat sakalam parasmai narayanaye samarpayami. Narayanaye samarpayami. Narayanaye samarpayami. Kayena vacha manasendriyaiva. Because end of the day, before you sleep, whatever is being done through this body, kaya means body, this very body is given to you as a gift. Let this gift be used for the sake of others. Whatever seva you can do, find a time, your talent, your tenacity must be used for the sake of others. Otherwise, animal also come on this earth and you also come. They also eat, you also eat. Ahara nidra bhai maithunancha samanya metat pashubhirnaranam. Ahar, nidra, bhai, maithunancha. They also eat. Ahar means they also eat. Nidra, they also sleep. You also sleep. Bhai, maithunancha, they have a fear. And human beings also have a fear. They have a sense of pleasures. Human beings also have a sense of pleasures. What is special then? If you are doing the same what they are doing, what is the special in you? Why you are special than them? This is dharmo hi tesham adhiko visheksha. Dharma is the one which makes you special. And what is that dharma? That dharma is to serve all, to love all, to respect all, not to create dividers and the divisions, not to create the separations. Because what you see in you, you see in all. Ye dharma. This is the real dharma. Dharma is not only to go to the temple, to go to the church. Sometimes we have our to-do list. To-do list, what you do, number 1 this, number 2 this, 3, 9 o'clock church, 10 o'clock this. This also becomes a job, a work, that I have to finish this list. Life is not to finish the list. Life is doing all this list, still you can have more than that. What is the extra you can do? List is for you only. But you keep doing it for you and for your family. But extra mileage you can take when you serve all and others. That must be done through your life. That dharma makes you special. That which you don't think for yourself only, but you think for all. And kayena vacha, whatever you do through your body, vacha through your speech, manasendriyarva through your mind, through your intellect, through your thoughts, whatever, all that actions being performed, all of that, and the fruit of all of that, O Lord, I offer to Thee. I dedicate to You. With this bhav that I am just a tiny tool, You are the one who is giving me the strength, and this strength is being used to serve those people who are Your creation. I took this message from that Baba and I shared with Sadhviji also when she came. And from the day one, immediately, whenever she saw poor people, she started crying. She used to come to me. She had so many poor people, so much poverty, so much pain. And she used to cry. I said, your tears are not going to take care of their pain. It's not going to remove their pain because you are crying here, sitting here. But she said, so much, how much I can do? I said, just start. I remember when she went to near Delhi, the first school, very poor people sitting one under one, very small shack, broken hut. Water was leaking. There was no mat even for those children, and children were studying there. And she took that school, talked to them, and can we sponsor this, can we sponsor this, and she started serving. Then Seva started. Not one school, not two schools, many schools. And Seva started. Then I could see the joy. I could see the fullness, the completeness when her parents came. They could see the happiness, the peace, the joy. She had it. And when she went back, she met her grandmother, and she came back, and when her grandmother met her family members, she said, Sadhvi came, but I don't know what happened, what is wrong with her. Something is wrong with her. She said, what happened? She said, she was all the time happy. Something's wrong with her. How she can be happy all the time? Poor lady, poor grandma could not understand. Yes, there is a way. The way is not that living in New York, in posh area, just watching TV, sitting on the couch, watching shows, having popcorns and potatoes, chips. that where you can all the time be happy. This was not enough for her, that how she is happy all the time. She said, "Grandma, come to India." He said, "Why India? Why not Israel?" "Why India? Why not Israel?" And she shared to me this story. I took her Israel also. Then she wrote to Mom also, "Grandma, I was in Israel." To make her happy. Indian Guru took her to Israel. Just imagine. Seva. Even the day I left, why I'm sharing all of that? You are living in this beautiful land. You have so much to share, to give. There is so much waiting for you. When I left, day before yesterday, there is in Shravan Maas, this is a very special month for Shiva in India. 30 million people would flock to just have the glimpse of Shiva. They all come walking 200 miles, 300 miles, 100 miles from their own villages and not being worried where they will stay. Walking and walking. Some get hurt, some get injured, but they just keep walking, having the water, holy water with them just to pour on the Shiva. But before I left, I talked to my team and team got together. I had inaugurated few services, medical camp and the water services, food services and many other things. When I saw the team being prepared for that seva, I could see the joy in them, the light in them. I have seen when they come out of meditation, maybe that joy was not there, that peace was not there. What the peace I saw on their faces when they were ready to do seva. Nowadays, sometimes you cannot have a time for meditation. You cannot have a time for church or temple. Not to worry. Go to some hospital. Go to that orphanages. Go to those areas where people are waiting for you. You must have a time. Every day, at least some time. Or you cannot have every day because the duties are such. Take a time out. Go somewhere, wherever you like. Go to India, go to Africa, go to some other country. Go to your neighbors, neighboring places. There are so much is waiting for you to serve. And all of that, when you serve, not with that bhav that you are serving, with this bhav that God has given you this opportunity. As a tool, as a nimitta, you do go and do the seva. This will give you so much happiness, so much peace. These lessons we got in the childhood until today, I have seen. Sometimes people ask me for liberation. I said, I am not looking for liberation. You can live your life in a liberated way right here. You can have your liberation right here. Just next corner to you. You don't have to go look for somewhere else. Let the liberation wait for you. This can happen. I am coming back. I want you also to come back. Don't worry about liberation. We can work together, serve together. There is so much to serve. I am coming back. I have decided when I come, I can start. I started when I was 8 in the jungle. Why not to start? I should be born in the jungle. And start early and start the seva right from there. Whatever Sadhviji has explained today to you, yesterday to you, I have shared with you. The only bottom line is, my dear, all this stress you people talk about, all this worries, tension, is all because of that we become self-centered. we start living only for ourselves. We start thinking for ourselves. What for me in this pie? Then tension arises. The moment you break this wall of self, that what for me, life blossoms. Life becomes so beautiful. We don't have even time for that worry to come. Sometimes people ask me also, what about the jet lag? Don't you have a jet lag? Yesterday I came and just started. Jet lag keeps waiting. The moment I get down from the plane, one other stage will be waiting for me. I have to go and speak and to meet people. Every minute will be used. Jet lag keeps waiting. When to find this Swami for jet lag? Dedicate every minute and every moment of your life as a tool of that divine hands. And then you see the joy of your life. In your family, serve, not to complain. Why me? Keep serving the family first. Charity starts at home. Keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. And from that giving, you will see how you can blossom. And how your heart will become pure. Antakarana Shuddhi's first thing is seva. Dedicate your life. With all of that, I invite you all. Whether you are here or you have a time, if people like Sadhana, people like Janine, people like Rekha, people like you all sitting in front of me, look at Suja. Sadhviji was telling me the four of them are doing so much seva to handle everything with Madhuji, with the Rekhaji, with others. All of you, take a project, whatever is that, and dedicate your life to that project. And invite you to come to India also. There are so much is waiting for you. So much. We see every day need is there. And if you cannot afford to come, if you cannot, you can. And he is telling me, he came to me today. Vikram came to me today. He said, done, enough. 55 years of my life where people want to reach at that highest post I have reached. Making money, make money, and even after I leave, I will have so much to share. Please give me the permission to come. I said, one more year. Take care of few things. Then I will tell you what to do. To some I said, come today. To some, even they are ready to come, I said, wait. Why? Because I know there is duty at home also here. You should not leave immediately. You should come for part-time, and then slowly, gradually, you can do it. But last but not the least, which is very important, so whatever karma we do, we should do with the feeling of idam namam, this is all yajna. Yajna bhav se, yajna bhavna se, this is all yajna, that every ahuti of my karma will make my life yajna. It's not the yajna is being performed by me, but yajna becomes my life. That every ahuti of my karma make my life yajna, make my life a anushtan, make my life a puja. My karma becomes puja, my karma becomes seva, and my karmas become my bhakti. That karma, being here, will give you the liberation. It will give you peace, the love, what you are looking for. Sometimes through meditation also you cannot find that, which you can dedicate your life and having this feeling that this is I am doing to the divine, for the divine, and being a tool of the divine. God bless you. I love you all. In Aarti, when we are in the Aarti, which I call our happy hour, when we are on the banks of the Ganga, it's very difficult to leave that place. When I left day before yesterday, Satya is here, her family was there. They also came to celebrate 70 years of his birthday. It was 70th birthday.
He's 70.
And he came to Rishikesh with the entire family, leaving Switzerland aside, came to the spiritual land. He had a choice to go to. His brother said, "Why don't you come to Switzerland?" But they live in Switzerland. Others, "Why don't you go to Goa?" But leaving Goa aside, came to Ganga. Leaving Switzerland aside, came to Switzerland. Leaving Switzerland aside, came to spiritual land of Rishikesh. And when they were sitting on the banks of Ganga, he said to me, he said, "Lagta hai, this is the power we need. This is the recharging we need. When I go back to Bombay, I'll take this recharge and share with others." That Ganga Aarti is our happy hour with no hangover. People take ecstasy pill, but I have seen people who are in Rishikesh living that spiritual life, they really feel ecstasy. When I see Sadhviji, when I see Swamiji, when I see others living there, their life, dedicating their life, every minute, every moment of their life. That's why I tell you, there is a place when you are tired of your life, the home will be waiting for you. The sweet home will be waiting for you. Your Himalayan home will be waiting for you. And we'll have a beautiful time in Rishikesh. I invite you all of you, whenever you have time. You are a yoga teacher, come, we have so many yogis looking for the direction in Rishikesh. Whatever you are a doctor, you are a teacher, you are a professor, whatever job you are doing, we have so much there for you, and you can serve there in Rishikesh, surrounding areas, in entire India. God bless you, and I love you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om